Hello and welcome to another session of Fearful Symmetries, which is a interwar magicians against the mythos with our red dragon in the now far background. There, Blake, the strange folklore of England as the campaign setting here. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. We had a bump last week, but we are back this week. And we are in Bradbury House. That is where we are at presently. And I'm not going to reframe too much, except the most immediate circumstances, so we're all on the same page. You had gone in posing as people from the War Office uh, with the intent of speaking to Mr. Bradbury and getting him to come and visit a member of his unit. Wilford is playing the, I believe, cousin of the said person. And you had a couple of staff people with you. And it actually went very well. Like you spent the points, you made the rolls, and he seemed to accept you are who you say you are. He is still diffident and somewhat standoffish, but you get the sense that that is his manner. And he did agree not to go with you, but to write a letter regarding these things. While he was off doing that, you were able to kind of look around the rooms here to kind of get a sense. There's definitely some occult feeling here. Something that you'd already knew, given the strangeness of Upper Quinton, given the talk around the Bradbury Grove. Isabella, uh, who needs to change her name in the heads up, uh, went and spoke with the two daughters of Mr. Bradbury and got some unpleasant information in the course of that. Uh, uh, you know that upstairs at this moment, his wife is heavy with child, shall we say, and the daughters are kind of nervously anticipating that there's going to be a birth here soon. There was discussion of a chalice there that seemed unpleasant. You also have the sense that there definitely is, you're in the parlor room he has put you in. There's a maid and a butler, and you think maybe there's another staff person, but you've only seen the two. Uh, and from your architecture and so on, you have a sense of where the study is for Mr. Bradbury, but also where the door is that you would guess leads down into the crypt. The crypt that Wilford, in his look through of the architectural records previously at Stratford, was able to determine that it's on site. And I believe that we come back to the group together uh, in that bit between things. And I think what you will hear is Mr. Bradbury approaching, coming back with the letter, because I don't know if we brought him back yet, but this is where we maybe rewind a little bit. But you'll hear him stopped clearly by one of the servants, and doesn't even excuse himself to you, but goes upstairs in the sense that maybe he's been asked to check on something, and you're given the slightest of leeway. The maid opens the pocket doors, will come in with tea, and will say, Mr. Bradbury has been detained. Uh, he's instructed me to tell you that he will be back to hand you the letter. However, it may be necessary. And she kind of trails off. Um, uh, uh, I'll have the manservant come, and if there's and she'll just put the tea down, goes back and shuts the pocket doors. And that's where we are.
We have to save this poor woman.
Well, if he's gone upstairs, we're going to have to go through him.
I don't think we have any alternative.
Perhaps she's a willing participant, Doctor.
Whether she is willing or not, I refuse to believe that she understands the fate that I believe awaits her.
Yes, I agree with you there. I simply must remind you that they've given one daughter already, from what we believe. I would just worry that we may fear that she is a damsel in need of distress rather than a willing participant in whatever dark ritual they're underacting. Now, where did Miss Grimaldi get to?
Ah, here she comes. Enter stage right.
Carefully step out from the side door there.
Oh yeah, you also discovered there were back stairs, like a servant set
Yeah,
stairs.
there's the
other thing,
back stairs. So, and I know where the cup is kept, though I didn't go take it. So she steps in. She goes, "How much time do we have left?"
Very little, Miss Grimaldi.
But we have got this entrance to the catacombs.
We have. I suggest someone takes the chalice. I cannot believe that the chalice is uninvolved in whatever dark ritual we are here to stop, or I believe we should stop.
And I just want to clarify on the chalice. The girls said that the chalice had been kept previously in their father's study, but was no longer there.
Ah, okay.
And he had been using the chalice to feed some fetid substance to the wife. Yeah?
Yes,
So we think the wife and the chalice are in the same place.
correct.
Which is Mummy's room, according to the girls.
Yeah.
I don't know what you propose other than to, interrupt mid-delivery. I mean, I suppose you are a doctor.
I intend to save this woman from a fate worse than death, and the child likewise.
Well,
you just want to storm up there and kick the door in?
Well, I'd rather hope, Wilford, that you would do the kicking, but
Well,
yes.
Of course I will, but that's all subtly out the window there. We've played our hand.
We have kept our hand close to our chest these several days. I believe there is now a call to action.
All right. Let's go do it then. Best do a thing rather than live in fear of it. He could be nasty, though.
Miss Grimaldi, Mr. Fraser, what say you?
does it seem as though the all roads lead to this birth chamber. I say I can't see where else we would go if the cup is there. What else? Also, we must go. We must. I'm just rather impressed that you're taking the lead, Arthur.
When I say taking the lead, what I have outlined is a plan of action.
Yeah, sounds like an
We're
officer
going
in
to
the
form
war.
a committee now.
She sort of stops and goes, "Oh, okay."
Classic officer. Let's lead from behind. Let's get up there then.
I will admit that in terms of physical confrontations, I am not necessarily the best man.
Well, I won't use the term lions led by donkeys because I've not put you in that category yet. But it's going there. Let's
Miss
go there then.
Grimaldi, Miss Grimaldi, do you not have about you some distracting chicanery?
And she sort of stops and she goes, I could draw the attention of one or two people. Certainly, I could do any number of things. I am not certain to what precisely you need me to do, what distraction. And she goes, to keep them from piling on from behind, to keep them from, who do you want me to go after?
Mr. Fraser, do you have any suggestions?
Ooh.
We could shove some books up the fireplace, damp the fire a bit, get loads of smoke.
I mean, I just to go meta a moment. I'm looking at Isabella's preparedness and her technical, and I'm
Okay.
thinking, goodness me, I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, I could do. Okay, so I think
You
that
have
need to go.
identified
Yes.
that there are 6 people, I believe, in the
Mhm.
house. Let me count back here, actually. We've got the 2 daughters. They are downstairs somewhere. We've got a manservant that you've seen and a maid that you've seen. We've
In the
got
sense that
Mr.
there's one other around.
Possibly another person around, Mr. Bradbury and his wife. Those are the people that are, as far as you are aware, the living people that are in this house.
That's an interesting turn of phrase.
It is, isn't it?
Okay,
I
got a plan. Let's shove some books up that fireplace, and above the books, we put some chemical agent. So when the servants, all the smoke in the room, when the servants pull the cloggage from the fire, that vial falls down, knocks them out.
how say you, Miss Grimaldi?
And she kind of goes, that's very complicated. And she does kind of turn her small bag out, and she goes, we could have a slightly better chance with. She kind of goes, I don't carry knockout drugs, but if you wouldn't mind a small explosion.
Anything to keep the servants occupied, I believe, that Wilford is suggesting, Miss Grimaldi.
I'm going to start ripping pages out of books because that's what you do with all good books.
Okay.
And I think actually the kitchen would probably be the best place to have a contained explosion, so to speak. There's nothing better than a stove, an oven. I mean, so.
There are 4 of us.
Yes.
3 of the people that we know of in this building are non-combatants, essentially, at this point, right?
Mhm.
So we're really just talking about Mr. Bradbury, the manservant, and the maid, right? I fancy our chances against those 3 just flat off the bat, frankly. But everything is taking place in the
lying in room.
Yeah, in her room, basically. They're all in there. All the focus is on there. When we get there, what are we going to do? Back you cad, gunpoint,
I believe there may be need for your mirrored sword cane.
Yeah, we're going to burst in there and essentially, unless there's anything weird going on, it's going to just be a bunch of us attacking a pregnant woman.
Protecting a pregnant woman.
Yeah.
And she sort of stops and says, and yet who would ever believe that?
Yeah.
She goes,
Dr. Whitewood, I'm sure your spotless reputation.
I have no reputation left to lose. I mean, so I don't think that's worrying me at the moment. What is worrying at the moment is I'm kind of hoping someone's going to convince me this is a ludicrous idea.
I think that I might try, because and I think she turns around and she goes, you sound absolutely balmy.
I
she goes, no, there's nothing good that can come of this. I don't think that we can save her in that way.
Then how? How, Miss Grimaldi?
We know that we need something that will pull him away. And I think that perhaps it's downstairs. Some trouble from there might be a good distraction. If I can get the cup, that may give her a chance. That may interfere with the power and the situation.
Lay out your plan, Miss Grimaldi.
We know there's something nasty downstairs. We've seen the walking corpse. There are probably other things down there that will give us some sense of what's going on, and that we could unlock.
We don't have any rituals or magical methods that spring to mind here in particular.
We do. Yes, yeah, we do. Yeah, I can. I've got something that could help. Let me have a quick thumb through my little book of spells. I do have a spell. Where are the spells?
There's the spell text is in the folder.
Yeah, there's a link in the safety.
Oh, thank you.
Not what? It's not notes, is it? It'll be linked to
It's
handout.
handouts, yeah. And there's a spell document there.
It's
How is that?
one up from that, I believe.
I have Mirrored Blade and 38ers. We seen what happened when we tried to go into the next ether. Didn't work out very well.
Ariadne's Twine would allow us to.
No, I've got a ritual that'll summon some sort of underground folk. Can't remember the name of it.
Knockers.
Yes, I have
Summon
that.
knockers.
I don't see that
In the list. But
Karnaki's papers.
No, what I mean is I don't see
Oh,
that
Karnaki's papers. Yes. It's not, yes.
helping disrupt this ritual of the Antichrist, basically, the Panchrist, the Anti-Pan, whatever it's going to be. You know, the spawn of Pan, the Dark Young, one might call them. I don't see them stopping that ritual with some Tommyknockers. The plan is either we go and stop the birthing and we disrupt that, which I think sounds bold and potentially catastrophic in terms of our civil decorum, you know, or we take advantage of this distraction, as it were, to descend into the catacombs and investigate further and perhaps seek some way of disrupting this place of power at its roots.
Or what I was understanding is you could split, and a couple people could go into the catacombs while a couple people sneak upstairs.
Yes, that would be not what we're doing.
Oh, wait, what?
I mean, that's what I was planning on doing no matter what.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm quite attracted by that because we want both Chalice and Catacombs covered.
If that would be the case, then the matter would be who goes where.
Yes.
Well, we know where Dr. Whitewood has to go. There's a pregnant woman.
There's a pregnant woman upstairs. There's no question. Up the servant stairs. And I intend to depart now. And I look at Wilford pleadingly.
Let's do it then.
And then I look at Mr. Fraser pleadingly. And then I look at Isabella pleadingly.
I mean, me and Isabella, we can sneak about.
Yeah,
as you two, loud as donkeys.
There is piggybacking, so we can do that with the stealth. So am I to understand that Whitewood and Wilford are going to attempt to sneak upstairs while Isabella and Richard are attempting to sneak downstairs and perhaps create a distraction?
I don't want to force this on someone. I think the only place for me to go is up to that pregnant woman. I can't see any other way to come at that.
Given that Dr. Whitewood is determined to save this pregnant woman, Wilford's determined to be his man. Miss Grimaldi, where do we? I don't think there are good choices here, frankly, for us.
Yeah, and she sort of steps and she goes, inherently the power of this place is in the grove.
No, the grove is nearby, I think, isn't it?
Right.
Yes. Understanding
surprise
how we
me.
can undermine that would do much of this. This is a this
Oh,
is
well, I
a separate thing that is fed by that. So I think we need to understand this as well.
there was mention of a fire. One presumes a grove could be quite flammable. And it would certainly make a rather large distraction for anyone in the house.
Okay.
Well,
I will blow up the trees. I assume Flora will be there. Hopefully the trees won't have her face on them.
So then what I'm hearing is Isabella and Richard slipping out to go across the grounds to the grove. Wilford and Whitewood waiting until there's an opportune distraction to sneak upstairs. I'm proud to be part of this plan.
You're on the plan.
I think I do want a stealth roll. Isabella, Richard.
piggybacking work again? I will
Yes.
certainly
Sure.
piggyback on Isabella's. I have 2 points of stealth that I can chuck into whatever roll we're making.
Okay.
Right.
And I will start with, we'll probably have several of these, won't we? So I'll put,
So difficulty is a 4.
okay,
Kind of open grounds. There are potentially people there. Essentially, Richard, you spend 1 point and you can piggyback on Isabella's roll.
awesome. And then I will spend 2.
Okay. Open up the roller.
How flammable were 1930s cars?
I would have thought a rag stuffed into the petrol tank. I mean, they're far more flammable, I'd suggest, than the current variety.
Yes. Though again, gasoline sort of in tanks and things like that is not as dangerous as when it's aerosolized and is spilt and exposed to the air.
Yeah,
Just jab the tank from underneath, leak it, and then set fire to it.
more along the lines of, can you set a car on fire and drive it into a grove and dive out before it hits, sort of thing.
You could certainly try.
Hey, whose car?
Am I right in thinking that you three are playing Pulp Cthulhu somewhere?
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
checking in.
Just-
Just checking in.
So let's have you make that roll, Isabella.
Here we go. I just rolling 1d6. This always freaks me out.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. I rolled a 6.
So that is a 6. So you spent 2 points, so it's an 8. You and Richard will slip out quietly. You will realize that as you're moving across the grounds, that there really isn't a groundskeeper. Like that's the other thing that you would expect. And you go back from the house and down a slight slope towards this grove. And it is a largish grove of trees. It is dense, a few hundred trees maybe in this area. There is a weird look to it that there are definitely newer trees on the outskirts, like growing out from the perimeter, as the two of you make your way down to there. You're kind of glad for the bright light of day because you are here, during the day on this Sunday, and you will make your way in. You can see that there is definitely a path from the house down into the grove. And if you follow that path that goes sort of widdershins around, it seems to circle towards the heart of this place. Isabella's kind of taking the lead, keeping you concealed, quiet, moving from place to place. There is the smell in here of, as the wind picks up a little bit, of rotting meat. Richard, is there anything you are doing besides kind of tagging along? What is it that we see of you as you move into these woods here?
I think what you see of me is me holding the box of paraffin.
Okay.
Swiped from the quarters we went out, and I'm happy to make a preparedness roll for
Absolutely.
that.
That seems like a 4.
Okay. Then you know what? I will spend 3 points of preparedness, and it's a foregone conclusion, right?
Yep, but you still roll to see if we get an excellent success here.
Okay. That's an 8.
So that's an
Richard.
8. So yeah, you've got a significant amount of it that you're able to get in a container that you grab out of the boot of the car as you head in. There was the mention of the grove before, so this is something that had occurred to you. Isabella, I think that you are aware of this, if only because the girls told you about it. And you definitely feel like the trees have eyes. And they are watching you as you make your progress through here. Is there any investigative ability or general ability that you wish to use in the course of this?
Yeah, I think that it makes sense. Let's see here. Probably occult. But not. We've heard the thing of Pan, so I think part of it is maybe more European occult related to Pan. It's a kind of with it, if that makes any sense. That sort of is what she's tapping into, rather than English sense of the.
Sure.
Oh,
I think that you will definitely get the feeling that these trees are an emanation. They are a thing that is created by what is going on here. As you go further towards the center, most woods have a kind of a varied look to them in terms of age and things like that. Here, it is definitely feeling like things have grown out from the center. Like it is obvious that the trees get older and larger as you go in.
mhm.
And I think that you will hear the whispers of the trees, that these trees are what is left of the floras each time, each generation. And they create multiples of them. And there is old folk legend about these groves that they want to grow And when they reach a certain size, they call something dark to them.
And so the Flora is, this is the thing they're anticipating, or are they, or do they not like sort of want the fate that is, does it make any sense? It's just a thing of trying to understand what their
I think
mode
that's
is.
a distinct question.
That is a distinct question.
Yes.
Okay.
The two of you will come to the center. The oldest trees are around. The canopy leans over, entangles on itself, knots itself above this pond. You'll see the edge of the pond is wet and gummy. That clay that we talked about before is there. You will see that there are markers around and about, almost spider-like figures hung in the trees, crafted by diverse hands in various places that hang down. And you will see that there is a spot on the far side of the pond where there's a set of stones that have been kind of formed to make like a sledge going down in. And you will see the rotting body of a cow there, that, just a glance, you could tell it sickened, and the villagers carried it here. This is, as you've been told, the gifts that they bring this place.
Foul place indeed, Miss Grimaldi. I think it deserves cleaning. I pull out the paraffin, and I think we need to, if the others, we'll need their distraction soon. We should set about. I can't think of a place I'd rather burn to the ground more than this.
Can I do a meanwhile?
Yes.
Meanwhile, is there a telephone in the hall?
There is no telephone in this place, very specifically. There's no telephone in Upper Quinton, and there's no telephone here.
Then I suppose that Wilford and I have made our way to the back stair with the intention of proceeding up it as soon as there's any hint of a fuss.
All right.
Be that the screaming of a woman in labor, or the screaming of people that says, fire, fire. Right, that's my meanwhile done.
Yeah. Well, let's actually get that roll. I think that this is a difficulty for, there are other people in the house. Wilford, I assume, is rolling, and Dr. Whitewood, I assume, you're spending a point of stealth to piggyback onto that.
That would work very well for me, thank you.
Okay, here comes the roll. What's the difficulty?
4.
4. I will spend 2 points just to keep a little bit of. It could possibly go wrong. Points spent. 1d6 plus 2. 7.
7.
Total.
So you will make your way back towards those back stairs. You'll pass by the door to his study that kind of hangs open slightly.
We have to look in, Wilford. We have to look in.
Hey, the cup could be in there. Yep, let's do it.
So I think you'll slip into the study, and you will see there are older books here than you saw out in the regular library. Um, what do you want to spend for your like investigation role here to kind of search this place?
I'd say library use if I had any left. So I think what I'm going to do, if you're okay with it, I might spend a build point to boost my library use.
Yeah.
So that gives me an extra library use, which I will spend now to see what I can spot.
So I think that you will begin to look around. You see that there are various ancient, like familial texts and tomes, genealogical things that you're interested in. But I think your eye will be caught by, as you kind of look around the desk, uh, just at a glance, you see he's almost finished this letter. You can see that there are various letters and things like that. You're actually like there's some financial documents there that indicate that he is very well off. Like the household estate, the tithes, things that Upper Quinton does very well, shockingly well. Um, the very, very strong crop yields year after year.
I bet.
But I think one of the things because is there's not much in the way of sort of like other correspondence, though you will see an envelope with a letter that's sort of unusual and off to the side. And you pick it up and it is addressed to Mr. Bradbury. And I'm going to put a link in the chat for you there. As you will kind of open it up and see this letter. Alan, you feel free to read that out.
Though we have never met, I feel strongly that you share a set of mutual concerns and engagements. As you have not responded to my previous letter, I thought it a reasonable precaution to write again. I have, for various reasons, come to believe that you may be interested in certain esoterica. I speak of items with a strong historical association, as well as pointing to certain otherwise hidden matters in society. Therefore, you might be interested in joining with a group of like-minded persons gathering on Beltane Day. There will be discussions and entertainments, but more importantly, a small auction and distribution of certain collections which have come into my hands. The items, including manuscripts, cannot be dispersed via normal channels for various reasons, but I assure you they represent a most unusual and exciting collection, revealing secrets of Albion hitherto untold. This party will be gathering at the end of April at Mather's Hall in Norfolk. I will be glad to send further details should you be interested. You may bring associates or send representatives, so long as you are willing to provide your steadfast assurances regarding their concept.
It should be conduct.
Conduct. To serve as a bond and demonstration of good faith, we ask that all attendees send an item of interest which might also be placed within the auction. Mr. Hamish Lydecker will serve as a reference for me. It was via him that I came upon your details. I understand that you have corresponded with him and he can provide further information. I should say to you that I believe some of the materials available might present a solution to your present troubles. Signed, Dr. Conrad K. Jager, Amesbury Cottage, Galston-on-Sea, Great Yarmouth. Pocket it now. And also the bank details, the financial details.
Absolutely. What are you doing, Wilford? Well, how are you spending your investigation here?
Let me look and see what skills I don't really have. Got archaeology and architecture. The rest is all interpersonal and on the technical. Hasn't committed a crime, so I can't see much evidence to collect. Astronomy, no.
I think let's have you make an, do you still have a point of occult left?
Good old occult. I do. My only point of occult. I'm
All
not
right.
great.
Uh,
Yes. So I was looking at for text in the other room, wasn't I?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that you will find out that one of the documents that is like as you're looking for old books, you're finding genealogical things, and if you'll find in the desk that there is a map that you pull out and unfold of the catacombs down below. And
Bloody handy.
you're looking at it, and you will see that there are various things marked there. This is perhaps 70 years old. This paper is kind of yellowing, aging. Uh, you can see that one hand wrote it originally, and then there have been some other names that have been added to this. And some of the names, all of them women's names, have been crossed out. Um, and there are dates on these. And these dates of these women's names go back to, looks like the earliest that you're seeing is the 8th century.
Oh,
And beside various names, you will note that there's a name, there's a date, and then there's a ritual.
Bet
Like
you he sacrificed his daughters.
Elodia, July 12th, light a candle. Marguerite, May 1st, offer spiced ale. There are about 40 of these names that you'll realize are all of the wives of the line of Bradbury.
Probably all after they've given birth to a male, maybe.
or a Flora. Don't know. Don't know. Oh, maybe a male.
Has to
Yeah.
be a male, given what you
Yeah.
know. You know that
Yeah.
the Flora
Yeah.
is firstborn.
Mm. Um,
Bloody evil. We got to deal with him, Doctor. We've got to go up there and deal with him.
very good, Wilford. Lead on. Let's hope that there is a sufficient distraction shortly.
I'm going to cut
Cut.
back to Richard and Isabella as you will hear this voice say, "You don't mean well."
And I think Isabella doesn't even look. She goes, there are those who would say the same of you, Flora.
And this tiny voice, teenager, but weirdly childlike. She's looks like a classic beast of the woods kind of girl who has lived outdoors. Her hair matted with leaves and mud. Her hands with the bits of clay kind of still stuck to them. And she says, "I simply am. I make the grove."
That's interesting. Someone who comes from a place of power, older than this even. She said that you are many things, but that you are not what you think you are. I wonder what that means.
And you see she's starting now to walk from the far edge of the pond over towards where the two of you are. And you will see her lift to her lips a pair of reeds.
Mm,
Richard, what are you doing?
I throw the paraffin on her.
Fling the paraffin onto this teenager. All right. I'm going to check our lines and veils. Okay. Just making sure. So let's see. That feels like
Unless I don't know.
athletics.
It feels as though like she's beyond the point of me being able to get her to stop, right?
That's entirely your decision, my friend.
Would that be reassurance?
Reassurance would be
Just a moment of time to just be like, wait, is this what you wish to be, Flora? Is this you were given to the grove as a baby? What does Flora want?
you asked me what I wish to be.
Yes. Do you not wish to leave the forest, the grove, to grow old as your sisters do? Do you want your mother to die for what she did to you? Are you happy here serving
My
this?
mother cannot die.
And if she goes to put those things, I'm just going to go like look at Isabella and then fling that.
Okay.
As I think,
Isabella?
yeah.
wow. I think there is that thing when she sees the paraffin go at her that that her eyes go wide because this is maybe a step that she had never considered.
Mhm.
And wow, this is insane. But I think without even thinking about it, her thing is to protect Flora from that because I think because it's the because she knows it's to burn things. Does that make any sense? A tree, yes. And entity, no. And I don't think she has that sense right now at that moment. Does that make any sense?
Grab Richard's hand as he like shove it down.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Pull
I'll
it
go like,
away.
Grimaldi, you don't understand, like you don't hear her? She's part of this. They're all part of this.
And she goes, but she doesn't have to be.
And the
Well.
flute plays.
Oh, okay.
See?
I know we should have been putting our hands in our ears, but there we go.
Oh, it's not calling you.
Oh,
Oh, no,
Oh.
no.
awesome.
You will see the pond begin to bubble. And it will roil. And then this thing will heave up out of it. It is 14, 15 feet tall. There are legs like tree trunks and great writhing tentacles. So let me get my sanity number for seeing the dark young.
Terrible.
I should have had this up. And to give a very bad picture, but like that.
Oh,
So so the stability checks are made against a 5 for this.
And the cost would be 5 or what?
The cost will actually be 7.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I will actually be a D6 plus 2 is what you're going to lose if you just kind of decide not to face and just take the hit.
Yeah. So we have to beat a.
Have to hit a 5 or better.
Okay. I guess I'll spend 3.
Okay. Let us have you roll.
Three.
So that is a 6. So you just lose the 3 from that. And Richard?
I'm going to spend 3 as well.
Okay.
Oh, that's a
And
4. Great.
yeah, this thing is shocking, and it roars, and I think in the distance the house vibrates. Like for Alan Wilford, you feel like a strong wind has shook the house. This is a good place for us to take our first break, and then we're going to come back to see what Richard and Isabella are going to do and continue on. Recording. So, Isabella, what do you do?
That I think is a fine question. I mean, run makes a lot of sense. I might go for preparedness. We knew about the grove.
Right.
So I would say that I would have had something for that. We know that there was water in it. I don't know. I assume I hate using this again, but it is as much anything for shock value. Is maybe she's brought along a good sized wrapped piece of sodium just for the heat and exothermic to throw on the water as it's coming out.
Okay.
So that would be her pulling that out.
I think it's something you've done before, so I think the preparedness is probably just a difficulty 4.
Okay, so I will spend 2. Okay, and then 6. So it's a 5, that's 7 total.
Okay, so yeah, you will grab out, you have wrapped carefully a chunk of this because you've had to use it before. And you will grab it out and you will fling it into the water. And the water will it's sodium, so the ignition is instantaneous. And the pond is roiling from it as if the pond is reacting. But the thing that will strike you is this thing doesn't even feel it as it comes out. The pond is shaking and roiling like it's a living thing, but this thing, fire, acid, that doesn't seem to be a thing that can touch it. Richard.
I mean, it's 16 foot tall. I don't think my my sword cane's going to do that much good against it. But Miss Grimaldi is, didn't run, right? So she's clearly.
She didn't run. She threw the sodium, and while it has not affected
the
thing, it is definitely the pond is not digging that.
The pond is not digging it. Is there fire? Is part of that exothermic that reaction?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I throw aside the paraffin into the trees, having given up any idea of burning these things down, probably to be dramatically exploding the fire later on, right? But if Miss Grimaldi didn't run, so under the logic of initiative systems, is probably likely to be under threat, right? Because she didn't take her action to run, she took her action to be there. Therefore, Richard can't take his action to run, and so he pulls out that sword, that mirrored sword. And where's Flora?
Laura is she was on the other side of the pond. She came about halfway towards you, so she's about a quarter of the way around this 40, 50-foot wide pond.
Cool. I'm gonna run and I'm gonna pull out the sword blade, look up at the thing, and then I'm gonna twist and lunge for Flora instead. And I'm gonna grab her and try and hold that sword cane to her throat.
Okay. Let's I think that's gonna be scuffling. I think she's going to try to evade your grip there. I have a 5.
Yeah. I really want this to work, so I will spend. Come on. Where is it? Can you roll for me, and I will spend. Oh, Miss Grimaldi, can you roll for me? In fact, since you're here, you're in it with me, right? So, like, who better to roll my dice? Because I'm, as usual, not able to reach the dice room. I will. You've got a 5, so I need to beat a 5. I've got 5 points. I'm going to spend 4 points of scuffling.
Okay. That is a 6. So I think before she can even like step back, you have rushed over and you have put the blade to her throat there.
Mm.
And
Let's go. Call it off. Call it off now. This will kill you. I'll spend a point of intimidation.
I wouldn't, Will. You don't have intimidation.
I have 3 build points. So
yes.
You never know how
Spend that
hard you can
intimidation.
get.
What? I'll spend that intimidation, yeah.
Okay. And she like shouts at it, and she like panicked because she can feel the blade in her throat, and she goes, go back, and it doesn't. And you see her eyes go wide as this thing swings at all of you.
Well, I push Flora in between the she's going first.
We'll have you roll it as kind of a dodge here. If you want to throw her in the way, you can roll athletics. Here is the strike at the tentacles towards you, Richard. I have just a 3.
Just a 3. Okay, I will spend 2 points of athletics to dodge that.
Okay.
Could you roll for me again, please, Miss Grimaldi?
Yes, of course. You would get a 4.
4. So you will dodge. I think that will knock Flora to the ground. The other tentacle goes squeaking at you, Isabella. Let's throw that up. I've got a 5 to hit you.
Oh, of course. Let's see here. Then I will spend 3. And I'm going to roll that 1, but not today.
No,
well, not
okay.
yet. So 6.
So you will dodge out of the way as this tentacle
Yes.
comes swinging at you. It is pushing forward. Those tentacles like reaching. It will grab on to Flora, and you will hear her shriek, and she says something like, it's not yet time, and she's screaming that. So let's cut back briefly.
Meanwhile,
Yes, Wilford Whitewood, the house shakes, and then there's maybe in the distance like a roar, like maybe an engine or something. You're not sure. Definitely carries, and it definitely vibrates the house.
there's our distraction, Wilford. Come, come.
There's the signal. Let's do it. Up the
Um,
stairs.
One last thing to grab up from the desk is the letter that he has been writing to the soldier.
Okay. Uh, so let me ask you this. Is this charge up the stairs and bust into her room, or are you trying to still maintain some stealth as things are happening?
I think we could use the distraction as stealth.
Okay. So then this is a more challenging place, but I think given the distraction, I think the stealth difficulty is still a 4.
I will piggyback for 1.
I will spend 2.
Okay. Look at
7.
you with that 7. The 3 of you will slide up the back staircase, even as you hear the sound of feet running down the stairs, and you hear the manservant saying to the master, "I will get the guns." And like they are running downstairs to clearly grab their shotguns from the hunting case. And they look, and you hear them say, "They're not here. I knew they were up to something."
To the grove.
Exactly.
Then we approach the room,
Okay.
in the lying in room.
And you will push the door open, and you will see that there is a woman laying on the bed. I think for politeness sake, we have the curtains over the bed, so we just see an outline there. I think you'll see that next to the door on a chair is the maid, and she is looking down, trying to keep her eyes away from the other figure in the room.
Oh,
Dun dun dun.
Uh, More of a silhouette than anything. There's no electric lights on in here. The windows are blackened. There is the fireplace, and uh, there is a figure that is there, and you see it start to turn, and I use it very deliberately. And you see that in its hand, it has this vessel, and you can see that it is like old metal and stone with runes carved on it. And you hear this voice say, "Just one more push." What do you do, Arthur?
Draw my gun and fire at him.
Okay. Absolutely. Let's have
In
you.
fact, fire at the chalice.
Interesting. I think that's a more difficult shot to make. Let's have you roll.
Just how difficult?
Let's see. So normal difficulty for something like this would be a 4. We add +2, so a 6 to hit that chalice out of their hands.
Fine. I will spend 3.
Okay.
All my firearms, I think. This is a 1 or nothing. 1d6 plus 3 is 6.
6. So you will hit this. I think with the 6, you're not going to break it, but I think you are going to send it careening out of this thing's hands. Wilford, what do? Dr. Whitewood has fired at this figure, not caring whether whether that shot comes close to the pregnant woman on the bed, just firing wildly.
So the chalice has left its hands and it is now skittering across the floor.
Yes, there is a brackish fluid flowing thickly out of it.
I would like to pick it up and launch it out the window. Now, you did say the windows were blackened, but I mean, are they windows as in I know they're
Oh
windows?
yeah. Like there are blackout curtains kind of things. You think with a strong enough throw, given that this is a stone and metal object, you could get it through those curtains and out. Let us. I think that is
Athletics?
yes. I think that's athletics. So difficulty 5 to get over and get this thing off the floor. Difficulty 7 to do that and throw it.
Okay. Luckily, I've got lots of points in athletics, but you do like to spend them down. I'm going to spend 5 points.
Look at you.
Eight.
So you will dash across, grab that up. You don't have gloves on. So there is this moment when you pick it up and you go to hoist it where you will feel this burning across your hand. Something like putting your hand in poison ivy and it just immediately starting to react. But then we'll see you chuck back and hurl this out of the window, and it will, the curtains will flap, it will shatter, the chalice will go out. And this figure, this thing turns, and in a step, it is up by you, Wilford. It is ancient. It is the first wife. It is the first embodiment of this bargain for a male heir for the price that has been paid by this family. And its hands come up to grip your throat. So it is going to attempt to grab you with scuffling here. I have a 9.
That's a good roll.
Athletics to dodge. Or
Uh,
scuffling. You can also put space scuffling.
No, I will spend athletics. I will spend 7 points.
Look at you.
Oh, oh well.
And I think you do attempt to dodge, but this thing is fast and its hands are around your throat in a moment, and like wood begin to crush your windpipe. But only for 3 points of health. Oof. But it has you in quite the grip. Dr. Whitewood.
Go to the bed.
Screaming from the bed.
Yes,
Screaming.
exactly. Go to the bed, and addressing the first wife.
Yeah. Could I please have you? And I'm kind of skipping because it's right up in attacking Wilford. He hasn't quite had a chance to like get the full import of what he's fighting. But I think it's when you pull back the bed and you see this woman in labor, and I think you'll see the color of her skin, the sort of brownishness of wood,
Oh,
the the coloration of the wife as they pay their price before they pass on to be buried away here. Could I please have you make a sanity test against a 5?
against a 5,
Yes.
I will spend 4.
Okay.
Yeah. This is no time to go
That seems
loopy.
reasonable.
2 and 4
So
is
yeah,
6.
it is a shock as you realize that you cannot save this woman.
Quite clearly. Then I reach into my doctor's bag, extract a scalpel, and cut her throat. She is no longer of this world.
Please reduce your sanity by 1.
That seems very fair. The permanent one
Yeah,
and the current one?
yeah. It is a thing that is anathema to everything that you do, and yet not. Wilford, you are struggling with this figure. You don't see what's happening there, except that the cries of the woman on the bed have gotten more wet.
Just remind me of the mechanics, the falling mechanics. If I was to fall from a first-story window,
Mm-hmm.
what is the damage?
It'll be a D6.
Oh, well, that's not too bad. So he's got his hands round my throat, hasn't he?
She has, yes.
She has. I would like to propel both me and her,
It.
it
It.
out the window.
That definitely feels like a scuffling test.
Can I use athletics?
Yes, that seems reasonable.
Uh,
So it is going to resist you on this. I'll spend 3. Oh, I've only got a 4.
oh, that's what I like to see. I'm going to spend 3 points because I want 100% 6. Well, at least a
Absolutely.
draw.
So there is
6.
that slow motion hammer horror of the two of you going out the window there.
Wilford!
Black
You
curtain
are,
wrapped round us both.
yes, curtains wrapped around you both. Take 2 points of damage as you hit the ground.
Oh.
Dr. Whitewood.
Is this thing dead?
This woman?
Yes.
Yes. She's dying here, even as she is giving birth to her son. Tell me
Oh, no.
here. Take 2 points of damage
What? Health?
as to health, as the maid brings this lamp down across the back of your head there. She is standing there wild-eyed and screaming, "What have you done? What do
Is
you
there any
do?"
possibility of this baby surviving?
Oh, yeah, it's almost born.
Stand away. I need to deliver the child. And if necessary, I will conduct an emergency cesarean.
I think you're going to need to make a couple of points of interpersonal spend to.
Reassurance.
Yeah, I think
I'll
it's going to
spend
take
2.
2.
Yeah.
And she will step back away. She's seeing the blood still spraying onto the curtains. I think we see that darkly in the background as you begin to work to draw the male heir to the Bradbury line out. Isabella.
Funny here. No. So the tree has caught up Flora?
It's caught up Flora, yes.
it hasn't reacted to.
It doesn't seem to react to that sodium at all, though the pond seems to be roiling from it.
Okay, I don't think that's a terribly bad thing. I think a gun. I just have to see if it reacts to metal, to a shot or something like that. If it,
Okay.
So.
Hit threshold is a 3.
Okay. She will say to Richard, "Run." So, let's see here. So 3. So I will spend 2, 4. And so a 4 plus a 3 is, or 2 is a 6.
Is a 6. So that gets you a Benny on that, because that is a critical. So roll me a d6 minus 1, and I'll tell you what the benefit here is in a second.
Okay. D6. That's a
So 5
5.
points. The Benny is that you shoot it in one of these mouths.
Okay.
This thing is hard as iron. And we ignore a little bit of the armor, so it does, like, jerk back as like ichor sprays out from that mouth there. Like, but you're very glad you hit there, because you're certain if you shot it anyplace else, it would not do anything. But it's still coming. Richard.
Has any of the spilled paraffin begun to catch fire from the?
Roll me a d6. Let's do a fate die.
Miss Grimaldi, could you roll me a d6, please?
A 4.
Yeah, so it is starting to catch on there, and the sheen of it starts to spread across, and the smell is horrible. The paraffin going up, that the sort of blackish smoke from that, all of this, like, poisoning this place, burning into it. What do you do, Richard?
Well, everything's setting on fire, Miss Grimaldi. I'm gonna try and haul Miss Grimaldi away from, as she gun up, bang, bang, it screams, and she goes, "Run!" And I'm gonna go, "No, without you!" And I'm gonna try and just yank her back.
Okay. So that is fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
And if Isabella is willing to go along, you may spend a point of fleeing to piggyback on Richard's roll.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay.
So I will spend 3 on chasing you.
Oh no.
So I have a 7. Richard.
Yikes.
7, that's quite high. But you can spend athletics instead of fleeing, can't you, if you wish to? You think they're interchangeable in that?
Yeah, I think they are generally interchangeable. Well, I think they're like the other thing that costs 2 for 1. So 2 athletics for 1 fleeing.
Well, I have 2 in fleeing, and I have 2 build points left over. So now I have
Can
a 4.
I use more of my fleeing in my piggyback to add to our
No.
Oh, lol.
You can do that, then it's an assist, in which case you spend 1 point to be able to assist, and then however many other points you want to spend to help out.
Okay. Then
But that doesn't mean that she gets to piggyback on the roll, does it? That's just helping me. leave at that point.
Oh yeah,
right?
so actually, I don't know how those intersect there. It only makes sense to me that if you're assisting, that we're going to let the piggyback
No,
happen
in this
there.
particular
Unless
one.
explicitly,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but we'll charge you an extra point.
okay. So I will spend, so what are you at? You're at 2?
I'm at 2. I can give myself an extra 2 with my leftover build, my floating build points, which would get us to 4.
Why don't we just spend some of mine right now? So if I give you 2, where does that put us?
So that'll cost you 4 points to do.
Okay, 4. Ooh, that's expensive.
And then
Okay.
+2. So now Richard is rolling at a +4 before spending any more build points.
Okay.
And we've got to be at 7, right? So
On
we're
a
at
7, you're going to get away, but I'm going to get a swack at both of you.
okay.
On an 8, you're going to get away.
Right. Well, I'm going to spend those build points because
Okay.
I imagine I've seen the Delta Green Dark Young. I'd imagine the Call of Cthulhu one is not any better, frankly. So that is a
+6.
+6. Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't roll a 1.
Oh, Lord,
Yeah.
why do you have to say these things? I rolled a 4.
I rolled a 4.
Oh.
Tell me what that looks like. Like as this thing is coming out, as it's beginning to take the tentacle and dangle Flora over one of its great mouths, but it's still rushing out to try and get a hold of you.
Well, I imagine that, like, the camera is like screaming and Isabella holding that pistol up, right? Then moving it up towards the one that's holding Flora. And then as she, like, the tentacle whips towards you, you just see Richard like plow into Isabella and then like haul her up by her feet. And then Isabella pushes Richard like aside as another tentacle whips past. And like that's our like mad scramble away from this thing that then begins to boil out of the pond, like, and just destroy branches, and as all the grove starts to catch on fire around us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. that is in the background sounds, the "for God's sake shoot me" of Flora crying out as the two of you run, camera whipping through the woods, and I think we'll see you break out of the edge of the grove, and you will see a man there. And that is the point that he opens up with both barrels of his shotgun at the two of you. So that will hit. Isabella, please take 5 points.
Okay.
Richard, please take 2 points. Essentially, Isabella gets the worst of the pellets as Bradbury fires off both barrels of the shotgun as you come out of the woods. Wilford, this thing, you're rolling around in the curtains with it and it's stiffening, like clearly the light is hitting it. And as you discovered before, these things cannot operate with the daylight. And I think it will stiffen up. You'll get your hands out from its grip and kind of push the curtain off of you. And that's when both barrels open up on you.
Oh, nasty.
Essentially, you will see the butler there. He had stopped off to as that window crashed open to see what was going on. As Bradbury rushed towards the grove, comes over, sees you roll out from that, and fires, and will hit you for 1 point. The pellets go wide. Wilford, what do you do? There's that click as he like does the thing where he quickly trying to get another round, a couple of rounds in there, even just one before you can close the gap.
Can I draw my pistol and shoot him?
100%.
I would like to do that.
Okay. Target number is a 4 for firearms there.
I will spend 3 points.
Okay.
reduce me down to 9 firearms. Now that's a good roll.
Yeah, so that is a
7.
7. So that is with a Benny. You may roll a 2d6 -1 to each of them.
2d6. Let's just roll that and we'll do the calculations. So I rolled a 1 and a 2.
So you just wing him. So I think you hit him. I think that will catch him, but he is getting that loaded up. And I think the two of you are you're probably moving a little bit to cover. He is moving to try and get a better shot at you, chasing you with that. Arthur,
Meanwhile,
I think you're hearing the gunshots outside.
yes, I think that I say to the maid, "Get me fresh towels from the kitchen."
And you
And I'm
spent 2
prepared
points
to
of reassurance. I think
I'm
that she
prepared to
will.
spend another one if you want me to.
Oh, I think so. Will get her out of this room.
And that leaves the that leaves the possibility for me to run down the main stairs out of the house
Are you
with the
delivering this?
baby.
Okay. Let's have you make a medicine spend.
Where's that? Oh, down there, isn't it? Oh no, where is it?
It's under technical. Don't you have a? No, medicine is under academic.
Oh, so it is. Yeah. So yeah, let me spend 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would like you to make a first aid roll. Just this is mostly about like how quickly you can do this delivery.
Fine. First aid, I have 5. What's the difficulty?
Let's say difficulty 4 right now.
I'm going to spend 3 first aid.
Okay.
Down to 2. And I will roll 1d6 plus 3, which is 6.
So you will cut the umbilical cord with the same scalpel that you used to slit its mother's throat. Grab it up with whatever piece of clean linen you can find there, and you will run out of the house, run down the stairway, the front stairway, even as the maid is coming back up with the fresh towels out the back stair. You're running out that front door. Isabella.
Oh, can I just ask, when I run
Yes.
out, am I in sight of either the Grove and Richard
No,
and Isabella
you're going
or
out if you
Wilford?
go out the front,
Okay.
they're all at the back in the Grove
Okay.
side.
Okay.
You have no idea what's happening back there. Isabella, you've been shot by the shotgun. Bradbury is reloading.
Yes, and I still have my pistol in hand, so I think it makes sense that I take a shot at him.
Difficulty 4.
Okay, so and I will roll 5, so that's a 7 total.
So 2d6, each of them -1.
So that's a 3 plus 1, so 4 total.
4 total. So I think you'll hit him. He will take a step back. I think that slows his reloading. Richard.
I'm going to charge him with my sword cane.
Okay. So that is weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Difficulty 4.
I'll spend 3 of my
Okay.
weapons. Can you please roll for me, Miss Grimaldi?
Certainly. 4.
4. So that is another boosted roll. So please roll me 2d6, Miss Grimaldi.
Okay. 3 and a 4.
That's 5. And Miss Grimaldi, would you roll me another die?
1d6.
Yep.
A 5.
I think there is that moment, Richard, when you stab him with this blade, when you feel some resistance and you feel yourself, the blade then slide in as it slices through the contract, as it slices through the bond of the Bradburys, as it cuts into him, and he staggers back and grabs at the blade, drops the shotgun, and begins to collapse to the ground. Even as you're hearing the crackling behind you, trees shouldn't go up like this. That fire should, I mean, these are our trees. That fire was not hot enough to do this, but you can see that the grove is alight and the fire is spreading out. And you and Isabella can hear the screams of all of the Floras. Would you please make a sanity test against a 4?
Sanity or stability?
Stability, sorry, stability.
No worries.
I took a, had some, so I took a 3. I'm going to roll for myself.
You're good?
That's yeah, I'm good, just barely. Okay, and for Richard?
I've done the same as you. I've spent a 3.
Okay. And another 2.
So the two of you, it is shaking because you hear all of those voices in the chorus as the fire goes out and is consuming more of these trees. As the smoke goes up, you know you need to get out of here. They will see the smoke in Quentin. They will know something is going on. But even as that is happening up by the house, Wilford, this
Yes.
manservant is moving to get another set of shots at you.
So, Arthur's not appeared. I'm on the wrong side of the house, aren't I?
Yeah, exactly. You're at the back of the house.
Meanwhile, Arthur runs to the car and starts it and steers it
Yeah,
to the sound of the guns.
I think what you will see is you'll see that like down a ways that the grove is on fire and there's some activity going over by it. I think that is the noise and the clamor that you hear.
But I'm hoping I can work out which side of the house Wilford fell
We'll have
out
you
of.
roll your driving in a moment. But Wilford,
I'll have to take another shot at him.
okay.
It's the only logical thing to do.
Pistol, 4, he's trying to move, trying to get his gun up on you.
I'm going to spend 4 points.
Ooh.
Uh, 1d6 plus 4.
Oh yeah.
That's
2d6. We're gonna take a -1 off each of them.
Let's not do what I did last time. That's not too bad.
So 4 and a 1, because there's always a minimum on that. So I think that'll hit him like in the side, and he will fall down. He's not dead. He's still alive.
But he has gone down.
But he has gone down. Dr. Whitewood, please roll your driving. Difficulty 5.
Okay, well, I will roll a d6 plus 0 then, because I
Okay.
can't drive, but I've seen it done.
Absolutely.
You
If
could
the problem
spend a
is you're
build point.
driving, there
I
is
tell
a
you
gear
what,
shift, and you have a baby.
Yeah, well, I will spend a build point to reflect the fact that I have seen it done.
How hard can it be to drive a manual transmission?
Exactly. I lay the baby on the seat beside me, wrapped in
Screeching.
and I'll roll a d6 plus 1. Oh my. That is a 6.
You will somehow, there's a screeching and the grinding of gears, and somehow you will get it
No!
into thing. Wilford, you will see come around the house where it is not supposed to go through the garden. You will see this car come around.
Aiming for the manservant.
Roll me a d6.
That is a 1.
Okay. I think there is this moment when there's a shot of the face, then the shot of the tire, then a shot of this, and then that comes over, and Dr. Whitewood horribly runs over this man's head.
Oh,
Is that a
And
sand
behind
loss
you, you
for me and
hear the
Whitewood?
screams of the 2 little girls
oh God, I'd
who
forgotten
have
about the
just
children.
witnessed this sight, have just come out, have seen this whole thing with this weird curtain and corpse, and then some gunshots, and they hid, and then they popped out, and then they saw their butler's head squashed by a car right in front of them. I think there's probably even horribly
Gore.
bits that have flown into their faces.
I've got to try and save those 2 little girls, though. I consider them innocent. So, can I make my way over and try and? Oh, yeah, you're going to say some sort of interpersonal here, aren't you?
I'm going to say, I hope you have some psychoanalysis to.
I do actually, yes.
Okay, I think this is a difficulty 5 psychoanalysis to get them, like, to even listen to what you're saying and to kind of hold them in place for the moment.
Forget what you just saw. It didn't happen. 5.
5. So I think you're in their face. You're an adult. Their eyes are wide with shock. I think the blood is drained. They're pale from that. They're just hear they're mumbling for their mother and father. As you've got your hands on their shoulders. And you behind you will hear the engine still going. And the sound of a baby coming from the car too. Isabella, Richard, if you come trundling up the hill, both of you bloodied, you will see that tableau. Wilford, holding the attention of these 2 little girls, you can see that they have just seen something horrible. Dr. Whitewood idling the car. Isabella?
I think I'll come up to Wilford and I'll say, I have to go into town. She'll say that as calmly as she can. She's bleeding. She goes, I've been hurt. So is Richard. And she'll look at the little girls and go, I think you should come with us.
Let's get them to the good mother.
Let's have you spend your American to get them, like, bundled away to the car. Richard?
I mean, I just look around to the fire behind us, the
Road
blood
is
all over the
burning.
place. Yeah.
I think you'll see from the upper window that Wilford busted through, you will see the maid looking down at all of you.
Well, I don't think I'm a Pelgrane agent, so I'm not going to go back in there and silence the witness.
Just checking.
Yeah, yeah. We must go. We must leave quickly.
Arthur emerges from the car. He is sprayed with blood. We are not done here. And points at the thing that came out the window with Wilford. And then brandishes the catacombs map. And there are more of them.
But the children.
Let's get
Take
them
the
away.
children.
We can
Take
come
the
back.
children.
We can come
No.
back to the catacombs.
No, no, we have to end this.
And I
And
think
I'd like to take a tire iron from the boot of the car and begin to beat the creature on the ground.
I mean, that's pretty solid, I take by now.
yeah, you will crackle it like you will break apart this corpse, and I think that the girls are now screaming at this wild man who is doing that. And I think Rebecca Mandalay style, you will start to hear crackling as the fire of the grove begins to carry to the things that are connected to the grove. And I think within a few moments, you will hear a roar as the fire in the catacombs begins to burst up into the bottom floor of this household.
Let's get these kids to safety. Quick.
Take them.
Arthur.
Take them.
One
Yeah,
thing is left to do.
Jesus.
Bloody what's left, man? It's burning down.
Let's. So, Richard, what are you doing? Like, I want to get your reaction to this madness, the madness of Dr. Whitewood, the fire now raging.
I am going to grab hold of Whitewood and look at Wilford and Grimaldi, and I'm just going to say, "Get those children out of here!" And I'm going to try and wrestle Whitewood over towards the Bradbury cars to drag him away. But
Okay.
They should get those kids out.
Okay.
Now,
Wilford, Isabella.
Yeah, I picked the little girls up. I put them in the passenger seat next to the the driver's seat, and I get in
where the baby is.
Oh God, the baby! And she sees the baby, and she's like, like, is it even swaddled in anything, or is it just? Oh,
there's probably like a doily that he was able to grab off a side table and wrap it in.
Which is bloody.
I take my smart little jacket off and wrap the baby in that, and I'm like, oh my goodness! And she goes, and I think she's going to like. There's all this craziness, and she's like, okay. You're going to have to be calm. You're going to have to hold the baby, okay? Do you know how to hold the baby? And then she'll sort of carefully put it in their hands and let them like kind of have them concentrate on that about how you hold the baby. Okay.
Okay. And Wilford? If Isabella gets them settled in, do you want to drive the car out of here?
Yeah, I can drive. I have some skill. I'm not up to Isabella's level, but yeah, I'm more than happy to actually, no, I'm miles better than Isabella.
So I think it's not a roll. I think you can drive the car back around. Let's come to that Fraser Whitewood exchange there as the car is driving off. So quiet.
The maid saw us. We have to end this, Frazier.
Kill her. Are you willing to do it, Whitewood? Are you willing to put to kill the woman yourself?
If you won't,
I won't, and I'll pass him my pistol.
And I think that Whitewood will get as far as the front door, close it, and jam it with the tire iron.
And I don't think we see what happens next. I think we see the two of you catch up to the car as the fire burns behind. I don't think we see the maid in the windows or anything like that. There are many ways she could have gotten out. We will leave that as a hanging moment, shall we?
A loose end.
And I think that we will cut to Lower Quinton. And I think that perhaps some bandaging has happened, some cleaning up, and she will say, I can manage with the daughters, but I cannot have you give me a baby for many reasons. You must figure out where to place that child. That is a choice you made and a responsibility. And she'll look at Whitewood that you accepted.
Who's just staring into space, his hands shaking.
Mr. Fraser, will you look after your friend?
Yes, yes, I will. Come on then. Your wife has always wanted children, hasn't she, Dr. Whitewood?
There is an innate goodness in all of humanity. This child deserves that opportunity. They need not recreate what we saw.
I stare out of the window and I think, I wonder if the Rollstone Witch Coven believes that the Rollright Coven believes that we have discharged our service to them.
You'll need to reforge the stone.
Well, then I hope the Quentin Constabulary is not up to scratch.
Wilford, what's your take on this? You're in this lovely home, garden, been given towels and some bandages, very good tea. Dr.
Well,
Whitewood
physically,
seems as shaken as you were when you first came to visit him.
yeah, I was going to say, while I'm slightly physically beaten up, actually, I've taken zero stability at all. So I'd help him, but I used all that on the girls.
Yes.
I can do nothing more than sort of comfort him and offer again and get him home. Um, really, I can just be his friend. That's about all that I can really do for him here.
Yeah.
I have no psychoanalysis.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think you sit, kind of wait, just be there by Whitewood. Isabella. You're muted.
While we've been here, she has stayed with the little girls. And I think that they've probably gone and after Isabella was treated, gone and sat by the garden out there and looked at the flowers, and she's just let them talk or say things or whatever, just to kind of figure out where they're at and what they need right now.
And as you are seated there, in the garden, you will see a young man, maybe 16, come out through the garden way. He will look at you and the girls, and he will come over and he will start to pull out of his pockets apples and put them down there and kind of gestures to you.
Oh, look how beautiful they are. Say, which one do you want? Let the little girls pick.
And I think the girls, like, they have something to focus on there, the colors of that. And the young man just kind of goes and sits down by the tree. So I think that the question I have is, what do you tell St. John Hale, if anything? Number one.
Interesting. Because the only two of us that would probably be speaking to him are myself and Richard. So I probably will, how do you say, speak with Richard about getting our story straight, so to speak. That we traveled up to the house to speak to Mr. Bradbury, and there was a fire, apparently. And then, I don't know, we had to rescue the little girls from the house. She kind of looks at Richard.
Yes, tragedy. I don't know. It seems the old man was, well, it was all on fire and there were screams, the children. I fear that Mr. Bradbury must have lost his mind. Ask anyone around Quentin. They'll tell you about Mr. Bradbury, I'm sure.
All right. And he'll pause and he'll say, do you think the situation is in hand?
For the time being. Still are. And she goes, we will speak to someone who knows better.
And I think as the two of you kind of come back out, I imagine Whitewood and Wilford are kind of still out in the car after you've had this conversation with St. John Hale. I think that the two of you will see kind of on the still being rebuilt awning above the front door, you will see a pair of ravens seated there. And as you get in the car and drive off, they will take to wing and head southward. And I think that's where we're going to stop for today. You may recover investigative points and general points. Leave your stability and sanity and such where they are right now. We'll talk about the recovery of that as well as health for next time. Let's give everybody, we took 4 sessions, so let's say 4 build points. Very generous. So, meta, we have various threads from the previous investigations. Certainly McMath, not McMath, but the Viscount Portmore. We have Edgar Winthrop. And now we have this letter with this gathering. So next time we'll talk about like what researches and other things you might be doing between cases and which direction you want to head in from there. And we'll let, at that point next time, Whitewood narrate how things go with the wife and the baby. Does that sound reasonable?
Oh, entirely.
Okay.
I know you said sanity doesn't return. Does stability?
Leave the stability where it is right now, because we'll talk
That's
about the regaining of that. Because I've forgotten how it handles in Trail, so I want to check, and I suspect we'll get it all back. But
no hassle at all. That is good.
yeah. So I would like to do stars and wishes here, if we could. Let us start with the manic Dr. Whitewood.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the fact that you turned savior into slaughterer by presenting him with a woman already bound to become one of the mothers in the crypt. I enjoyed the look on, well, actually on Sherry's face when Isabella remembers there's a baby in the car. I very much enjoyed Richard finally succumbing to flee, and Wilford. You know, Paul. Remind me of the falling rules. And you know, taking some kind of undead creature from, you know, the 8th century out a window wrapped in blackout curtains. What an afternoon.
Wilford.
Really enjoyable session. Alan's portrayal of the sort of the downfall of Whitewood was very, very good. I loved Will's sort of you know, I won't run until Miss Grimaldi runs. Because Alan was just typing, run, run, run.
Yes.
I'm not going to run.
Those of you who didn't see the chat, I don't know. I can.
It's as if Sherry completely ignored the run, run, run. It was like, throw the sodium. Now I'm going to shoot it. And that was a really good shot. And I really liked, Sherry, what you brought when we were sort of having that discussion in the house about what to do, because we were getting into sort of planning paralysis. So thank you very much for what you did there. And Lowell, quite an iffy subject, really good how you looked on lines and veils. You know, again, a masterclass in GM and touchy subject, handled really well. Pace built up very, very quickly. Spent tons of points, which is always good for a Trail of Cthulhu thing. Really good to see. Excellent. Thank you.
Awesome. Richard.
You know, I loved that Miss Grimaldi wouldn't give up on Flora, even though it was very apparent to me that she was, you know, given to a cult and became a cultist, a foul thing. But yeah, we tried our best, which I think is what the heroes do, right? Is they try their best and then they flee as it all goes horribly wrong around them, which I thought I enjoyed that we only managed to get away from it with each other's help as well, you know. Whitewood, yeah, Whitewood going, oh, I'm going to go kill the maid and silence the things. I was prepared for, hey, you leave and we're going to go down into those catacombs and do some dungeon crawling. Thing. And Wilford jumping out of the window is the best part of it, frankly, you know, like, but yeah, a really climactic finish to a slow build of getting back into it. I have a feeling that if we'd gone to the Bradbury estate at any time, it would have escalated things rapidly, which is a thing for us to keep in mind, and how much we, narratively dicker around the size of a thing before going straight at the thing. I still want to know what was going on with that, the corpse. Was that one of the wives, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, to go meta here for a moment, each of those wives remains bound, and they can be invoked to be called on for information, for rituals, for speaking and things like that. They have different times and things, and they are awoken in different circumstances, and the breaking of the wall awoke one of them early.
Mm.
And of course, we will notice in the Stratford-on-Avon Daily Herald in when we next read it, strange fire erupts in historical society, because we still left one of the wives there, didn't we?
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I thought it was a great setup and scenario, and a useful reminder that we may ascribe sort of romantic and hopeful and optimistic ideas towards the dead body and the Flora and the wife and blah blah blah, but ultimately, like, come the end, they might actually just all be part of this horrible mess. You can't, you go to save the cultists, save them from the cult, turns out they are the cult. Like, yeah.
There is darkness stalking Albion.
And Isabella.
It was a wild ride. And and Alan, you were the driver in each of those moments. It was great. I protest because I know that we're going to end up there, but I was like, don't want to be the lame duck in the thing that I do. So I'm going to make sure that I'm out doing something crazy that I'm built for. You did a great job, Lowell, of pulling all of this together, because there were so many things going on. The tree monster was truly horrible. And the inexorable truth that I couldn't save Flora was terrible. I have to go through this over and over again, I assume. But anyway, yes, I don't know. It is. I think the thing about having some romantic notion about any of these things is still something that's going to be very hard to let go of, because wow, that was terrible. And yeah, wow, really good. Everyone was amazing. So you always are.
Awesome. I am going to stop the recording.